Hey guys, Devynn Thompson here, wife of OGplumbgod with the OGplumbgod.
What's up? Recalls.
Yeah.
That's a dirty word in my house.
That sucks. Everybody hates it. I feel like every time something like a callback or a recall comes up, like everyone loses their shit.
They seriously do. Every tech is like, it's not a fucking recall. It's not a fucking recall.
Yeah, so let's talk about that. So first, I'm going to start off by calling a shout out to our friends at Desert Barn Brewery in Hesperia, California. We are currently recording from there, so shout out to Josh and Sarah Waters for letting us record from there.
Yeah, thank you guys.
Hey, cheers, everybody. Everybody lift up their beer. Cheers. I got a Valley Citrus IPA. It's delicious. John, what are you drinking?
It's called the Bee Assassin, which is pretty rad.
Yeah. I like mine because it's really serious, and I feel like I can have one beer and just be like in the best mood ever. So like I told John before we came here, I said, "Hey, let's go to Desert Barn Brewery because I want to get a beer and just like what did I say? Be loose."
You said get loose.
Get loose, which could be like the worst like translation of anything ever, depending on who you're
perfect.
talking to.
It's perfect. But this is plum talk. You can be loose. That's cool.
Yeah, I'm here to be loose tonight. So
I mean, we all lay pipe. We know what that's like.
I hope you guys are intrigued. But yeah, tonight our topic is going to be recalls and callbacks, depending on whatever it is that you call it. We call it recalls.
We call it recalls.
But I've seen on social media people call it callbacks.
Yep. So kind of ironically, our company, Thompson Family Plumbing, we actually had a meeting this morning about recalls. So I kind of had a warm up to this discussion, I guess, if you will. But you know what? The shitty thing about recalls is your customer's perception and how you're going to retain that customer for the rest of your career and the rest of the company's standings. But
well, let me stop you right there. It's mostly about reputation management. That's where it comes from. So I feel like when you get a recall or a callback, it's immediately like threatening your reputation.
It is.
You feel so threatened because you're like, I promise I was thorough. I promise I did my job right the first time. But we all know that we all make mistakes.
We all make mistakes. No one's perfect. The Plum God's not perfect.
No. Believe me, I get his recalls, everybody. So.
Yeah. Let's be honest. No one wants to own up to their mistakes. They go out there and they say it's something else. But you know what? I'm going to tell you 100% it's your fault because either A, you misdiagnosed it, or B, you didn't explain it to the customer the correct way so that they can understand the reality of the situation.
Yeah, it still sucks though because
it does suck. Yeah, you're right.
Okay, so you're in a situation to where you're trying to educate the customer.
Yeah.
That's number one. I feel like it's customer education. You're not going to be able to sell them on something that may be considered in their eyes an upgrade, to something basic that maybe they think is needed. I think a lot of times the consumers think they're right over your professional.
I don't want to say these things that we're recommending are upgrades because they're not. They're things that we know as plumbers that are going to fail if we touch this.
Right.
Let's just talk about pulling and resetting a toilet, for instance. You need to pull and reset the toilet because there's a leak from upstairs to downstairs, right? And you pull the toilet, and you know that the wax seal has wear on it. It's all black. It's nasty. You know for a fact that it was leaking there. Well, this toilet is also 25 years old, and you set it back in, and then the next day you get a call back saying there's water coming down again from the upstairs bathroom where you just set that toilet. Okay,
so did the technician check the angle stop and the supply line sufficiently also?
Or did he recommend replacement of them? Or
when he was on site?
Did he check the tank to bowl gasket before he left? I mean, that's what's going to leak is your tank to bowl gasket.
If you guys are on a call doing any type of service on a toilet, I feel like you should immediately put in a dye. What is it? A dye tab?
A dye tab
into the tank immediately because even after you're done, now correct me if I'm wrong, but even after you're done and you sit there for 5 minutes, making sure that your work is sufficient. If there's leakage with the flapper, leakage or any issues with the fill valve, it should be into the tank itself, right? Same thing. Well, no, not for the angle stop, but at least from the toilet itself. But I would always recommend check the angle stop, check the supply line. Obviously, angle stops, nobody ever touches them. They're sitting there for 10, 15, 20 years, depending on
however old the house is. And
yeah.
No one ever shuts it off until you touch it. And you know what? You touch it, you own it. That's the way that they think. That's not the way we have it in our head. It's not our fault, right, that it's leaking, but
it's not your fault that it's 25 years old and nobody's touched it for 25 years.
But it is our fault if we don't explain the situation before we touch it. They're like, hey, Mrs. Jones, this angle stop's 30 years old, and although it may shut off, when I turn this thing back on, we might have to replace this. It might be leaking from the handle nut or from the packing nut at the handle. That may be or may not be. And it may not leak right at that moment. It may leak a day or two later. Speak
in layman's terms to Mrs. Jones, who doesn't know what the packing nut at the handle means. What does that mean? Why can't you just say like...
I wouldn't even talk about the packing nut if I was talking to Mrs. Jones.
Then you don't say packing nut.
Well, I'm explaining this to plumbers.
Oh, yeah,
that should know what the packing nut is.
You need to be able to break things down in layman's terms.
Mrs. Jones, I'm going to be pulling and resetting this toilet. So I just want to pre-warn you about this shutoff valve because it is old, and we don't know what's going to happen when we turn this thing back on or even try to shut it off. If I try and shut it off, it may not turn off all the way. But at that point, I'm just going to let you know that we may have to replace this. Now, in order for me to perform this service sufficiently, if this needs to be replaced, it's going to be X amount of more dollars to replace this. Are you prepared for that evaluation?
I don't know, John, because I'm on Social Security.
and you know what, Mrs. Jones, I'm going to take as good care of you as I possibly can.
All right, John, so what's my warranty on this?
Your warranty on pulling and resetting a toilet is 30 days.
30 days.
30 days.
I only get paid $600 a month on my Social Security. I can't justify $185. I'm going to have to start eating cat food.
That's
How many times have you guys had those kind of calls?
Oh, totally.
Yeah, it's insane.
But Mrs. Jones, no matter how much you pay me, I promise you I'm going to take the utmost care of you, and I'm going to protect your home as much as possible. Because obviously I don't want you to have issues with the work that I perform, and I want you to use me. I want you to be my long-term customer.
You want her to use you?
Yes.
So
maybe not that way, but
no. So tonight we do have a special guest who's going to join us for our podcast. So tonight we have our good friend Chris Massaro. He is on Instagram, the Hollywood Plumber. Now, if you guys don't know him, go and follow him on Instagram. He does not have a Facebook. He only has an Instagram, but that's cool. I mean, Instagram's more visual. It's more direct. Yep. But it doesn't mean that Facebook isn't a good platform. Facebook is a great platform. I don't think that you should ever be discouraged from using all the possibilities as far as networking and getting to know people.
I'll tell you this, is that I've hated Facebook forever, but you know what got me drawn back into it is the Plumbing Hacks page. Check out the Plumbing Hacks page. Request to be on a part of that group.
Yeah. So John recently
amazing guys.
Found the Plumbing Hacks guys, and he has talked nothing but like nonstop about these dudes. He just says it like... They're like crazy, like he is, and it's like last night he was on the phone with what's his name, Jeff.
With Jeff.
Okay, I'm like, get off of the phone. You're never home. Like he was on the phone with Jeff for like 20 minutes. I ended up calling John.
But Jeff was driving home.
John off of the phone.
This is who I am. Jeff was driving home for 8 hours, and he was like, "Who's up right now? Who can I call?" And he's like, "John's in California. He's up." It's like 3 hours. There's probably a 2 hour time difference there. And so he called me. I answered like the first ring probably because I love Jeff. He's a great guy, Jeff Keller. And so
shout out to our friend Jeff Keller.
Yeah, we're shooting the shit, and he's driving home from the Diablo demo ceremony that they did in Texas. I think it was San Antonio. But he's like, "Man, I'm falling asleep. I need somebody to help me stay awake." I'm like, "All right, man, I got your back, man." And then Devin was like calling me on the other line, get off the phone. I need you to come to bed. Actually,
I need you to come to bed. I never tell you to come to bed.
We're editing a video, and she finally figured it out, and she's like, "I got it."
I needed his phone.
She was pumped.
The audio that he had on his phone, I needed it for our video, and so I was like, "Get off of your phone so I can use your phone to finalize the audio." So I was like, "Hey Jeff, cool, but bye. Like we'll talk to you later." So,
anyways, but
Jeff, if you're listening, thank you. For your phone call,
but I love you, Jeff.
Last
but seriously, I want to just talk about the community in Instagram and in Facebook.
But right now we have our good friend waiting for us.
Chris is waiting? He's waiting
Chris
right
is
now.
Waiting, yeah.
Oh, just hanging out in the basement.
All right, so guys,
Awesome.
we have our friend Chris Massaro on the line. He is Hollywood Plumber on Instagram. Chris, I see here you told me that you've been in this trade for about 11 years. Tell me a little bit about what you know about plumbing and why you wanted to be a plumber.
Well, I'm fourth generation plumber in my family, so
Holy shit.
yeah, no doubt. So I grew up around it my entire life, doing it since I was, as young as I can remember, putting together old Wurzbo fittings at trade shows with my dad and stuff, and
Rad.
yeah, so built houses with him and stuff, and just kind of fell into it from there, and I got my apprenticeship started in high school, and it's been just going nuts ever since.
Cool. So I see here that you do both residential and commercial and industrial work. So talk about some industrial plumbing. I want to hear about that.
Well, like we do some sanitizing stuff in like food factories and dairy plants and stuff like that.
Oh, cool.
So when you guys
beer.
install, she's drinking my beer and I'm drinking hers apparently.
We have different tastes in beer. Sorry.
So when you guys do these industrial lines, is it code that you guys chlorinate all the lines before you put it into service?
Well, it depends where. Yeah, if you're like doing like process piping water stuff like that, you'd have to chlorinate it, and but the sanitizing stuff that we've done, the more industrial stuff, it's like the lines are getting cleaned out as the product goes through. So
okay.
Yeah.
Well, cool. Well, we are excited to have you on our show. This is PlumGod Media, and tonight our topic is recalls and callbacks. So what do you call it? Do you call it recalls or callbacks?
Yeah, callbacks, I guess, is pretty much the general term. Recalls is a new one for me. I've never really used that one before, but
it must be a Cali term or something.
It must be a Cali thing. So even our software, our service software, is recalls. So we use a software called Service Titan. It's awesome, but it sets us up as recalls. So it doesn't even give us the callback thing. But I've noticed
gotcha.
You guys, like the big plumber community on Instagram and Facebook, you guys call it callbacks. So I wanted to make sure I was saying it appropriately so we know what we're talking about tonight. You know?
Yeah, I'll get it.
You know what's crazy, Chris, is that building these relationships throughout the years with everybody around the world. Everyone has their own terminology for everything. So I could be talking about something, and then everyone thinks I'm an idiot because it's different in their area, or vice versa.
It's the same thing for code. Like, how many times have you seen people doing things on Facebook or Instagram? They're posting a picture, and you're completely mind blown. You're like, what are they doing? You can't connect. That. And then, but it's because there's different codes per state or their jurisdiction.
All the time.
But that doesn't mean it's right.
No.
Yeah, no.
Whatever. But that's your perception.
I try to police myself a bit when I'm on the internet now, because I'll see something, I'm like, that does not look right, and sure enough, I'll be like that guy on Instagram commenting, and then he says, "Oh no, this is how we do this our code." And I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna shut the hell up.
You don't want to be like a total dick and just call this guy out, and then they're like, "Who the hell is this guy? What the fuck is this problem?"
Hollywood plumber, and he's not even from Hollywood.
No.
Yeah. Hollywood plumber's just a jealous prick.
Yeah. So let's go into our topic. So what is the first thing that goes through your mind when you get a phone call and the customer is like, shitter is still clogged? What is...
No. Here's the situation.
Or whatever it is.
I just paid you $300.
Yeah.
And my toilet is still backed up. You need to get out here right now.
Yep.
So what's the first thing that pops in your mind?
What did I miss? Did I do something wrong? Did I let my apprentice do it and not watch him? That's basically the first thing. I'm just running through a mental checklist of what the hell happened, and especially on a toilet clog. It's usually pretty straightforward. You clear it and it goes, right? So you got to think there's something else. You got issues down the line, roots or something, or who knows, right?
Yeah.
I have to tell you, I really love your first response to that, to what did I do wrong? So one thing I think is so important is always taking accountability for your work, because in the eyes of the customer, they're investing into you and they're investing into your service. So it's one thing to be like, hey lady, I told you your toilet's fucked, fuck off. But it's another hey, what did I miss? How can I make this better for you? I really
absolutely. Yeah, you always got to try and learn and improve yourself, and think about, have I done everything I should have done and fulfilled all my obligations, to get this job done right.
Yeah.
So how do you handle that call, and like, what's your process when you get those calls?
Well, okay, if it's something I'm getting called back to something I just did and it's, not working anymore, my priority is to, get the hell over there and get it figured out, because I got too much other shit I got to do. So I got to bite this one in the butt right away and get it figured out.
So when you knock on the door, what do you tell them though?
Well, walking in there, we got to take a look at this and get it figured out and see what the hell is going on.
Yeah.
Basically.
Well, one of my things is that I feel like I'm the recall king on my company because
recall king. That's horrible. Okay, it's called callback king.
Well, because I like to take them because I want to know what my guys are doing and what they're not doing. Right?
Oh yeah, 100%.
And I want to make sure my customers are satisfied with Thompson Family Plumbing. So
absolutely.
So being self-employed, what is your process? Do you have employees, Chris?
Yeah, it's just me and one other guy and my dad when he's in town. So
do you feel like when this type of situation occurs, like you need to just take the ownership and like buck up and take care of the customer?
I'm always the guy I'm always fixing other people's shit.
Whether it's the handymans or the other plumbers.
Handymans?
Yeah.
Handymans. It's the handymen.
Whatever.
Handymen.
They're not that handy though.
Here. Hey, check the license first. We got handymans over here.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Well, what about if the customer becomes like super aggressive and like upset with you? Like, what do you do to like try and bring that anger down?
Well, I've never had anybody actually really get that mad. There's like only a handful of times that I can remember.
Hey, Chris, you should come plumb in California for a week. No,
we're too nice in Canada, I guess.
Yeah, apparently.
Not in Southern California. No, we
God.
have customers, but you find some, few and far between. But
yeah.
So what do you do if you have some type of aggression towards you?
Well, you just try to you got to explain the situation and kind of maybe walk them through what you've already done and why you felt confident that the first time you did it that you got it, and maybe explain okay, this is other potential things that are going to go on, and the ultimate goal is to calm them down and just be like, we're gonna rectify this issue, we're gonna remedy it, and it's gonna get done, and we're gonna fix it, and we're gonna take care of it.
I love that. So anytime any of our dispatchers get this call, we're immediately apologizing. I apologize. Yeah, absolutely. It's you got to show empathy and concern for the customer, because any time any customer chooses to invest into your services, that's not a decision that I take lightly of my customers to make, because the competition is out there, and I feel like anytime a customer wants to proceed with work with us, I want to make sure that everything is thorough and 100% along the way. So when the situation occurs, we always apologize and say, we'll get a technician out there as soon as possible to get this resolved for you. Is there anything else that we can do? It's always important just to take accountability, I guess.
Oh, yeah.
What do you think about that?
Yeah, that's exactly what you got to do. Take accountability, go there, fix it, get it done, explain to them what happened, because they want to know. They don't want to be, your guy runs in, fixes something, gets the hell out, and they're like, okay, well, what happened? What caused it? They got to be there can't be any uncertainty in that. You don't want to leave there with them thinking of more questions to ask you later.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So let's go back to the accountability aspect. So there can be a fine line to where it's kind of difficult as far as the experienced technician to really get out of that. So say that you go out to a service call and you make a recommendation for a service for a customer because you determine whatever the basic service is not going to be as thorough as needed to complete the service or to completely resolve the issue. So you give an additional recommendation, which they deny. And you know that you're going to get a recall. This customer is denying your additional recommendations. What do you do when that customer calls you back and it's a recurring problem? They don't want to invest into that recommendation with you.
Just tell them straight up, you need to get this fixed, and maybe it won't be me doing it after, but it's going to cost you a lot of money, and that might motivate them to maybe get it done sooner than later. And that's a huge factor too. It's look, you can beat around the bush and spend, $100, keep having the same thing dealt with. or you can have spent that all in the same try and, had the peace of mind that your system's going to be working for a long time.
One of the things that, I think about is, the inconvenience that this gives our customers. For one, let's think, like, I don't know about you guys, but everybody, men and women both, they both have to have a job here in California to survive, to be able to pay their bills.
Yeah.
One of them has to take off of work.
Yeah.
And so whenever I get a recall, I think about that customer, like,
took
off of work to get the work done to begin with, and now he's got to take off work again to get it fixed again for the second time. And like, I feel I'm so apologetic when I come to these. Like, I am super sorry that this happened, and Mrs. Jones, and I'm going to resolve this for you, I promise. And you know what? If it's something that we did wrong, rest assured that we're not going to take any money out of your pocket, and we're going to fix it for you.
Yeah, that goes a long way for the customer too, right?
It does. It really does.
Yeah, I think just a little empathy goes a long way. I mean, you better show that you care and that you acknowledge that this is a huge inconvenience for the household.
Yeah.
And, their kids had to go to school today without a shower, or, or they did, or the husband got off of work and couldn't take a shower before he went to bed. I mean, those things like are really irritating, especially when we're all prone to routine in our household. Throwing something like that in a home it's full of routine, it sucks.
Oh yeah, exactly. Like, it's your customer, you want them to have a positive experience at the end, and like, even though it's an inconvenience to have a call back on something, at least you can walk away with it kind of leaving a better taste in their mouth about it, and then they'll probably call you back, right? Because they see the empathy and the compassion for that.
I was telling my guys today, like, the biggest things about recalls and callbacks is I want to ensure that they're going to use me again. And how do I get to that point?
Yeah.
How am I going to rebuild the trust in this customer for them to use us again? And it's a battle every day on every situation. Every situation is different, right?
Yeah.
Every job's different. Every customer is different. Every sale is different. And we have to learn to go with the flow and meet that expectation of our customer at all costs if we want to keep them.
Yeah, 100%.
And especially you being a fourth generation plumber, like, it's important to keep your customers with you guys and happy.
Oh yeah, because if you don't got your happy customers, you don't got no business.
And you're not going to be able to feed your kids next month.
Yep, exactly.
So one thing that I like to do is to really learn and read what other plumbers are doing and engaging with their customers. And I came across this review recently from one of a plumbing company in our area, and the customer states, horrible service, extremely rude and unprofessional. So this admin of whoever is running this Google page for them says, in response to this lady's bad review on them, says, she owns the home and doesn't know if she's on septic or sewer. I asked her, do you have a bill from city sewer? And she responds, all of X company, or I'm sorry, city, I'm not going to say the city, has septic tanks. I'd responded, no, not going to say the city, has a massive sewer system. And she hung up. She was a very foul-mouthed and air-headed woman.
Oh my God.
Always kind and polite. So let's talk about this.
Oh yeah, clearly, yeah, okay. It's just post a shitty review there.
Like, what the hell?
Holy shit.
What the hell? Like,
yeah, you're not doing yourself any favors saying shit like that on the internet.
Oh my God. I just want to gouge my eyes out when I read this, because it's like,
that's the problem with the internet with people too, right?
But that's the thing is like, you can have the type of mentality when you get a recall. Customer can call back and be like, hey, my toilet's so clogged. And you could take the response of being like, sorry, you're screwed. I told you that you need to replace it and you didn't want to do it. F off, basically.
Yeah.
You could go out there and reassess it and then try and re-educate your customer, because maybe they didn't understand the first time.
Yep, exactly.
I say let's talk about reviews for a second, because I think that as a consumer, I'm looking for the bad reviews, and I want to see how that company resolves the issue. And
oh yeah,
that's the only thing I read, because anybody can get a 5-star review.
Yeah.
I want to know how they resolve the situation.
Yeah, how do you come back from the 1-star review to get a 5-star review? That's where the good stuff is.
Totally.
So it's funny. So I was at the Plumbing Hacks convention in Florida, and Ryan Williams, that owns 128 in what city is that in? Anyways, he has this really great analogy on this. Is that he puts a dollar amount on every bad review.
Yeah.
And his dollar amount is $10,000. Like that is my evaluation for this bad review. How am I going to save that $10,000?
Yeah.
You know, if you don't have a price tag on that bad review, you're not going to know how to properly handle that, and you're not going to put the care and effort into it.
You're just going to write it off like, oh, exactly. Whatever.
Yeah. So,
and just so you guys who are listening want to know, Ryan Williams is from North Andover, Massachusetts. There you go.
There you go.
Massachusetts. I can't. Okay, so I have a little list because I have braces. So sometimes I can
smile at the camera.
I don't know. So I have braces because I'm getting corrective jaw surgery next month. So I'm like super kooky and like weird when I talk. So please, I'm sorry if I can't say construction industry. I did that podcast last week and I could not say construction like if my life depended on it.
Oh yeah.
I was listening to that too.
listening back, I'm like, oh my god, these people probably think I'm like some stupid like chick that like doesn't know how to even like say construction. Like how dare she even put her hat into the plumbing world? You know?
Oh my god.
Sorry, I have a list, but pretty soon I'm gonna be symmetrical as fuck. They're gonna just completely realign my jaw, and I'm gonna be good. And then I can talk like a boss. So
they're gonna cut it in 6 pieces.
Oh my god.
Yeah, they're gonna like basically pizza cut my face.
Maxilla surgery is awesome.
Yeah, so if you guys are interested, you guys should Google Lefort 1 surgery. It's a jaw surgery. It's a Lefort Leforte 1. So I have a class 3 malocclusion. So Google that surgery, or you know what? YouTube it.
I'm gonna ask the maxillofacial surgeon that I work for. So
yes. So I do see a maxillofacial. See, I can't even say that.
Oh, I can't even say that.
Word.
He's at a Kaiser Sunset in LA. Hey, I'm gonna give big props to my surgeon. His name is Dr. Pham. What's up, my man, Dr. Pham?
Dr. Pham.
Yeah, that's right.
Hey, Chris.
Yo.
I have a question for you. Sorry, I have a question. If you have any questions for us about the situation.
Do you have questions for us? How about you interview us?
Oh, this is interesting. I didn't prepare for this one.
Yeah, let's do it.
Well, I mean, like, what's the scale of your guys' like service there? Well, I mean, at least in your company, like, you guys do like a lot of it. Like, how many calls are you doing?
Okay, so we do.
Are you talking about day? Week,
yeah, let's go weekly, I guess.
Weekly.
48 calls a week.
Are you kidding? He doesn't know. This fucking guy does not run the fucking school.
I get reports every day.
Get the fuck out of here.
We're talking week.
No, he doesn't fucking know. We do 30 calls a day. So what's 30 times 5, John?
We don't do 30 calls a day.
Yes, we do.
Okay. Sorry, we do 30 calls a day.
This fucking guy.
So you guys are definitely dealing with a lot of people then. So you got to really learn how to handle your stuff then.
Absolutely. You know, quality control is extremely important to us because it also goes into reputation management. Yeah. I mean, I've told John time and time again, like anytime we have any type of issue or question with a customer, like I told him, like, I don't care if we lose this job, I will give the customer all of their money back because our reputation means more to me than any dollar amount in my bank account.
Yeah, that's right.
It means that's everything to me. So I have this saying, it's legacy over currency.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, because that's what's going to keep you going too.
Totally. You know, we're not out to take advantage of people ever. You know, we're here just to absolutely serve our customers, and nothing brings me more happiness at the end of the day than making people happy.
And you know what? That's what I love about being a service provider is the gratitude that my customers get when I fix their stuff.
Yeah.
The first time, you know, that's what I love is customer relations when I get out to the field. And I feel like that's what's kept me plumbing. Part of the reason anyways. I love digging trenches. I love getting like rough with stuff, you know, but overall I love hearing the gratification from my customers when they're satisfied with my work.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's number one.
just want to take care of people and sleep good at night, knowing that people don't think that we're trying to be like shady assholes, because that's what people think.
Oh, there's so many of them, and that's the good. Like everybody thinks tradespeople are like that, and it's like we're just trying to get bucks out of you and sell you this and that. And it's like, no, there's a reason for this. I'm highly trained and experienced. I'm not going to tell you to do this if I don't think you need to do it.
Oh,
I feel like our biggest problem is dealing with the huge price fluctuation between contractors, or So
oh yeah,
there's a guy that'll install a toilet for $35. You know what I mean? Like, how do you get out to a house for $35? You can't do that.
You cut your own head off to do that.
Right.
Yeah, that's insane.
Yeah, so I think that's the hardest part, is justifying your worth, and sometimes it explains itself.
I'm sorry,
honestly,
I'm going to go in right here. So I have
she's going to cut me off.
One of my girlfriends, her name is Ellen Rohr, and you guys who know her, she is the OG plumber's wife. She is a franchise. She sells franchises for Zoom drains. You guys should know.
Oh, wow.
So she talks about how if you discount your services, you're discounting yourself.
Yes.
And you really have to find a level of comfortability to where you're educating your customers, you're taking care of them within the profit margin you need to, in order to, pay your overhead and pay yourself something and be comfortable. Yeah. So going into that, John was saying how sometimes it's hard to compete. I don't think it's hard to compete because we're not competing with a motherfucker.
No.
We're not competing with anybody. I'm in this just to serve my customers.
You know what's funny?
Exactly.
Is that I feel like every time I literally bend over on price, it always turns into a nightmare.
Yep.
And I always get a call back on that job.
Yeah, and you're freaking out because you're already sold yourself short too, right?
Oh,
exactly.
Totally.
Yeah. So
Totally.
I think when you're pricing out things, you need to account for those incidences as well, a little bit, not a lot. But I think when you're doing these jobs and like it's way less than what you wanted to make on it, your demeanor for the project that you're working on changes.
Exactly. Yeah, 100% it does, because you're trying to squeeze the pennies out of it, because you're already lower bid or something, right?
Yeah.
Well, maybe this is a good topic for our next podcast.
I think so.
Talking about
that would be
how to properly apply discounts. What do you think, Chris? You think that's a good topic?
I think that would be a great one. Lots of people want to learn lots of stuff, and this is a good way to start.
Yeah, well, we need to wrap it up. We're getting a little late here, but I just want to say thank you so much, Chris, for your time. You are awesome.
Yeah,
John
brother,
loves you. I see all of your engagement on Instagram, and you're in Canada, which is we're all the way out here in Southern California in the United States. So I just have to tell you, thank you for staying up. I hope you're not keeping your kids awake.
Well, no worries. I'm in the basement hiding from the kitchen reno, having a beer, so I'm good.
What the hell is a basement?
It's a cold place in the summer. That's what it is.
It's a cold place that you have to go when you're bad.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for your time, Chris. Everybody check out our friend Chris Massaro, the Hollywood Plumber on
Chris,
Instagram.
We're going to send you some Plum God goodies, okay?
Oh, you guys are the best.
Awesome.
Yeah, thank you very much for having me on here. I appreciate it.
All right. Well, thank you. We'll talk to you then. Have a good night.
All right. Take it easy, guys.